Good evening, everybody. We are live. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Spencer Mation here. Ivan LaCroix introduced us. We've actually never really met, so we were having an interesting chat in the back of the studio, just kind of becoming familiar with one another. But Spencer, I'm going to be learning just as much about you as our guests are. So I'm going to kind of try to play the devil's advocate here and ask questions that hopefully the viewer might be thinking about. And if you guys who are watching us live have questions for Spencer, make sure you put your questions in the comment section down below. While I have you here, if you haven't yet subscribed to the Thor YouTube channel, make sure you guys click because we are going to have a ton of fantastic guests coming on in the near future. So just make sure you guys subscribe. But Spencer, thank you so much for coming on. I've been really looking forward to this episode. I live in a kind of mix of farming and urban area in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And this has always been an area of the detailing industry that has intrigued me because I don't know much about it. So I'm ready to learn. So can you just give us a brief introduction to who you are, like where you live, how you got your start into detailing?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Spencer Mation. I'm 26 years old. I'm from the small town of Mitchell, South Dakota, which is most famous for the world's only corn palace. It's like this halfway castle made out of corn that we play basketball inside of in the wintertime.
That's
So
pretty big.
yeah. And basically where I kind of got started was, I was born and raised on a farm, grew up with my dad farming and stuff like that. And wanted to shift over to detailing when I was in college. I feel like that was kind of where we all started, was maybe college, early 20s, right? We all kind of got that itch for detailing. And one day I just decided, hey, why don't I combine the two of them and go from there?
Okay. So what were the type of vehicles that you were first learning on when it came to detailing? Was it tractors or was it cars?
So it was actually a little bit of both. So my dad, obviously, we had tractors and stuff like that. And I'll never forget, I don't have it anymore, but back then, the only thing I could afford, Rupes wasn't a thing. The whole YouTube detailing, the only people you were watching was chemical guys, right? That was like the only information out there. So I went to Walmart and I got this buffer thing that had like the bonnet you put over it.
Yeah, probably
And,
two handles. Yep.
yeah, two handles and just vibrates, right?
Yeah.
I would do that and I'd put like 4 layers of wax on the tractors because that's all that was available at the time. So I was kind of doing that maybe one tractor a winter. It wasn't anything spectacular. You would spend over a week doing it, right?
Well, yeah, when you're just basically like, meh.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, when I was kind of starting out detailing, it was a lot of, minivans, farm trucks, just kind of daily drivers around here. We have a lot
Sounds
of
delightful.
Yeah, we have a lot of gravel roads. And I mean, some people talk about disaster details, but like literally people will take their pickup and haul calves in the back seat if their four-wheeler is not working that day. So I can't tell you the amount of times of cow manure that I've had to clean out of back seats. It's happened way too many times.
I feel like all of us who have been like disaster details just shove it. Like we have no idea.
No, you got, especially when it comes time to door jams. I mean, imagine a vehicle never being washed for 6 months, goes down 3 miles of gravel every day.
Oh, the dust.
And it's horrendous, especially on SUVs. That back rubber piece back there. I mean, you can spend over 30 minutes on just door jams alone. And
Wow.
It's horrible.
Yeah, pretty much. Keith is saying pig shit is the worst. I mean, I live in Lancaster. It's pretty bad when you can identify the animal that the smell came from that you're dealing with, and I would say pig or chicken is one of those up there for me. But I don't know. I'm not a ignorant when it comes to farming, but I've never really worked on a farm. So like, can you kind of just give me a quick breakdown? And I want to just like maybe dive right in on this because I've seen some of the cars that you do and you do amazing work.
Well,
But I feel like when it comes to detailing agricultural equipment, is that the term that you guys use for that? Is it farming equipment, like tractors? What do you guys call it?
it depends on like where people are from. Like some people call them tractors, some people call them equipment, some people are like adamant about the name of it. So I always joke with Case IH farmers. So that's your red tractors. And
Okay.
I always joke that the John Deere guys, you know, you can call them quads or four-wheel drives. It doesn't matter. But the Case guys are so adamant that you get it right, whether they're wheeled or tracked, because that will determine whether it's a quad or a four-wheel drive, you know,
Okay.
in terms of Case's name, because a quad to them is tracked, a four-wheel drive has wheels. And they're
Okay.
so adamant you get that right. But Deere guys, they don't care. They're just like, yeah, it's, you know, 9,000 series. Yeah, call it what you want. Doesn't matter.
See, these are things that people might need to know if they want to sound like they know what they're talking about. So, like, if I was a detailer, and technically I am, who would be interested in kind of transitioning or even starting out in agricultural equipment, like, what are some of the basics that they need to understand? And then, like, let's go from there.
Yeah. So the absolute basics that you need to understand is it is not the same as vehicles. Whatever you have learned from vehicles, just throw it out the door. You
Okay.
do not, and that's because of the single stage paint that all these pieces of equipment have, whether it's, you know, a tractor, a sprayer, a combine, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's bigger too.
Yeah, a lot bigger. I mean, I did the math actually in one, what is it? One panel on a combine has as much surface area, or no, sorry, two side panels on a combine has as much surface area as an F-350. So essentially, we're polishing in total. I did the math one day, and it's like 4.5 pickups is what we're doing.
Wow.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is you're not claying it, you're not iron moving it.
Okay.
That's the best part. So it's actually kind of scary because you know the blue Scotch-Brite pads that people use for cleaning dishes and stuff.
Mhm.
That's your clay media. That's what you're using to break down the oxidation on a surface level.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Because it's that thick.
no, not necessarily that thick, but it's all the dead skin
Okay.
on top of the paint. Because single stage, when you're polishing it, you're going to do one pass and it's going to turn red or green, you know, whatever color substrate
Mhm.
it is. And you're just like, whoa, what just happened here? Because you're not used to that. But it's the same paint as vehicles. You can just see what you're removing.
Okay.
In a way, that's kind of how Ivan, you know, taught me 5 years ago. I was like, hey, it's the same paint. It's just different color.
Okay.
But not the same paint because farm equipment can oxidize. Clear coat can, but I feel like clear coat would fail before it oxidizes.
Of course, Ivan coming in Scotch-Brite with DIY detail all clean.
Yeah.
What can't all clean do?
Yeah. He's yelled at me a few times because I was like, hey, Ivan, I feel like I should use this straight. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, I don't know, isn't it better? And he goes, no, 10-1. And I tried that and I was like, okay, yeah, you're right.
Even on tractors.
Yeah.
So, what are the chemicals that you use for the tractors? I mean, they're probably covered in mud and haven't been really cleaned in a long time. Are you out there like the TikTok detailers with intricate brushes?
Oh,
Like, what
no.
are the tools and the chemicals that you're needing to quickly get the job done?
So here's where it's interesting. And I feel like I'm going to lose maybe some people.
Stay
We,
with us, guys. Do not leave.
we do not wash equipment. There's a caveat to that though. The farmer is responsible for pressure washing and cleaning the equipment before we come onto the job site.
Okay.
This is all mobile, right?
Okay.
And all we do is a quick rinseless wash to knock the dust off the panels and we go at it. That's it.
I mean, I've seen the work you do, so it must work. That tells you the power of rinseless washes. And that actually, I mean, that's probably a lot easier for you as a detailer. And the level of prep is kind of on the farmer.
Yeah, because all I really care about is, hey, that there's not 6 inches of hog manure on the rear fenders. But if there's a layer of dust on it, that's okay. Like
Yeah.
that's fine. We're just gonna rinseless wash it because when we polish it anyways, that top layer of paint that's all oxidized and stuff, we knock that off. Yeah,
Okay.
we knock the heavy stuff off. Or the farmer knocks the heavy stuff off. Some guys get super crazy and will spend like a full day washing it before we even show up.
Hmm.
And then other times, I've just told people, hey, set a timer for 10 minutes and just pressure wash it down. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, I tell them that I charge $300 an hour if I have to run a pressure washer.
Yeah, they're going to be out there. We
Yeah.
missed a spot. I mean, we'll get into the cost later for some of the work that you're doing. It's not cheap though. So I mean, they're probably trying to save every little bit of money they can by doing the prep work themselves. I wish we could honestly say that to customers. Wouldn't that be nice? I'll dial it in. I'll polish and ceramic coat it, but you're responsible for washing it and all of that. If
Yeah,
only. That sounds like a dream situation, honestly. So I'm not trying to shill any products. I'm just curious. I'm gonna assume it's DIY detail rinseless wash, but what rinseless washes do you guys use?
honestly, I have about a gallon of McKee's Absolute DIY O&R rapid rinseless wash from Kokemi, and it's just whatever we're picking. I mean, at the end of the day,
They
it's
all work very similar.
at the end of the day, we're still it's a bare paint after we're done. It's not that scientific in a way, I'd say. I would say though that the DIY is becoming our favorite just because we'll actually leave that on the surface and then we'll do our Scotch Brite all purpose clean, especially like on plastics, the black plastics that we do.
Okay.
And I don't know, it just seems to foam up a little bit more when we scrub it up with the all clean mixed with rinseless in a way, that solution combo. And it just makes me feel better about myself.
Well, while we have Ivan in the chat, Ivan, what would make that? Is that the surfactants within the rinseless wash, the residue left behind that would help give him a little bit more foaming? He'll probably answer, but anyway, so you come into a situation, farmers wash, you come in, dial it in with your rinseless wash method. Rotary, I'm assuming, is the main tool of choice, correct? Or are you doing a mixture of rotary and DA?
So you're gonna hate me for this, and
I
this
don't hate anybody for anything.
no, because the term I'm about to use, my business coach has taught me this term, and I use it a lot. So I'm gonna go through with it, but it depends.
Okay.
So on newer equipment, we can use a DA and do basically like a 1.5 step. So
Okay.
compound, leave it on there, swap out the pad for foam, finish it out, done. Super, super heavy stuff. I mean, we might even start with sanding, and just remove that top layer and then rotary it all the way through. But
Okay.
it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I would
What
say though, every time we're polishing, no matter what though, we're always polishing with the rotary, almost always.
what compounds do you prefer when you're dealing with single stage paint?
So I have used Oberk. I've used every compound under the sun. The issue though is, and I might butcher the term a little bit, but it's hydrocarbonate solvents. I'm at least 90% the way there of what the technical name is, but that's oils within the compound itself. And
Hmm.
that can mask oxidation. I've had to redo some equipment that I used to use Oberk on. Granted, it was only 2 pieces of equipment where the oxidation came back 6 months later because it hit it. It filled it, right?
Yeah.
So the coating company we use is Roar. They have their own compound that does not have any of that product in it. Otherwise,
Okay.
DIY, gold standard. I mean, that's probably, I'd say, the bulk of what we use, unless it's just hammered. I mean, we need something that just has bite.
Yeah. I have found like there are certain polishes because I use a pad washer
Yep, same
and
here.
you can tell which polishes are more water based and which ones are solvent based because they will respond well to a pad washer. When you've got kind of like that oily residue in your wash water left behind and your pads just don't clean up as nicely, those are the ones. And Oberk is one of those. I would agree. I want to think when I met David, I did a video with him about 2.5 years ago. He did say that their products don't really work well with pad washers for that very reason, but doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's just it's gonna you're gonna have to be aware, like you're saying. So you said before we came live that farmers don't really care about swirls and scratches, that the priority really is just shiny and removing the oxidation. So once you like, do you guys care about marring? If you do a compound and a wool pad, do you want it to finish down to a certain level? Is that a goal of yours?
Yeah, yep. So like deer paint will finish out beautifully. We have no idea why. We've tried every, I mean, quite literally, I ordered every single pad from Buff and Shine. every single pad in their catalog. And, some pads work really good with certain paints even, which is odd to say. Well, I guess really not, because, GM black versus, your Mercedes black, two completely different ones. But to make a long,
World of a difference.
yeah, to make a long story short, is if there's an amount of haze that we're willing to accept, but the farmer's not going to see it. That's out through a detailer's eye, not the farmer's eye. And by the time we're done coating it, that haze is not really going to be there.
Okay, the coatings. What are the coatings that work well in that world? I mean, you're not just grabbing a prosumer grade or even a retail grade coating from Amazon or from the shelf. Do you have to use specific like industrial grade coatings? Are there ones that work in that world better than others?
Yeah. So my dad's John Deere 8345R, it's kind of a bigger tractor. That was the first one I ever coated. And I put Crystal Serum Ultra on it. You know how long it lasted? 6 months.
How long? Maybe a year by itself. So you there?
Yeah. Yep. Are
Yep,
we
we're
still there?
here.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think I just glitched for a second, but I came right
Oh.
back. So you said CSL lasted like 6 months. So then what did you transition to next?
No, Crystal Serum Ultra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was a G Technic accredited. So basically, Ivan was kind of talking about this company called Roar that had this industrial 2-part coating. And this was maybe back in 2019, 2020. And that's what we've been using ever since.
Roar. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Now,
And
do you
so
have to become certified to purchase that?
you do. Yep.
Okay. And is that a lengthy process?
No, I really don't know because I did the in-person training, but I
Okay.
think they have, like, not to say a virtual one, but I feel like they have one that's like, hey, I've done some stuff here. I have an idea, and then they like guide you the way. I mean, they have a really crazy coding that, like, I've never heard it of another brand, but maybe you have. You coat an entire vehicle, like apply the coating, and it's a 30-minute wait time until you level. And
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. I had some leftover. I think I had some C6 diamond, and I started doing a vehicle with that, and I was just like, oh man, like, have to do one panel, grab my towels, level it, versus the way I've been doing it for like 6 months. It's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, have you ever tried like IGL Eclipse?
So they've been after, well, actually, Fine Lab has been after me more than IGL, but
Okay.
they were super territorial, and there was one guy, like literally less than half a mile, that was IGL certified.
Mm-hmm.
He did not do a single tractor ever, but I couldn't get it because he was certified. And I was like, he hasn't done a single tractor in his entire career. And I could do some if I could get my hands on the product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes those territorial things can be annoying like that. I've had a couple companies that say I'm too close to someone and I'm like 45 minutes away, but IGL, if you're listening, I have seen great things from Eclipse, and I think Systemex might even have like a industrial grade ones, but there are certain ones that you can actually like spray on.
Yeah. Yep. I've played with those ones.
Like what is the PPE that you have to do for stuff like that? Like when you're doing the coding, someone had a question, do you have to like wear a respirator and things like that with these industrial grade coatings? And especially if you're spraying them on, I'm going to assume you're wearing, masks and things like that. But what type of protection do you need to wear when you're coating farming equipment?
Are you ready for it? It depends. So anytime we're doing a sprayer, super intricate areas, I mean, we're doing 120 feet wide section of the booms. That's what they're known as. And it's this 2x2 tubing with, metal going through it, braces, all this other stuff. You physically can't get your hand in some of the areas where the pinch welds are, where it's going to corrode, rust, and those welds are going to break over time. So for that, we will actually spray the coating on and shoot it in there, essentially. So for that, full suits, mask, respirators, I mean, the whole works. I mean, we look like paint guys, essentially. But then, we do just a regular tractor, no spraying, just gloves.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the cure time for these coatings?
So full cure time is 7 days. It can get wet after 2 hours and can be submitted to standing water after 4 hours.
That's not
Or,
bad. So the farmers can get their equipment right back out pretty much.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay. Now, when it comes to someone like me who did not grow up on a farm, if someone wants to get into detailing farming equipment, like how much do they need to know about the equipment? Is that necessary?
Not
Like, do they need to educate themselves so the farmers are like, you know what you're talking about?
to an extent, because most of the time the farmer's going to say, hey, I have this year, make, model, right? That'd be
Correct.
like somebody coming up to you and saying, hey, I have a 21 Chevy Silverado 3500, and you're like, boom, right? You have that image in your head. I've been doing it for so long, and I grew up on the farm, that I just know every single deer, and I know about 80% of the case models just right off the top of my head. But as far as like education and learning, I don't think it'd be that hard to just go on John Deere's website or Case IH's website and just click on models, and you just review that. Like, it's homework, right? You just try to study up on it. Because the cool thing is their tractors, it's like a Chevy Silverado 1500. That would be like a John Deere 8R. Whether you get a John Deere 8R 250, 345, 370, 410, whatever, it's all the same. The only difference is the horsepower, those last three numbers typically, but they're all a John Deere 8R. So it'd be the equivalent of a Chevy Silverado 1500, but then you have your Trail Boss or Denali, stuff like that. But it's all the same truck.
Okay.
So once you get those core models down, I think each brand probably has, I'd say about a dozen. If you can memorize those dozen for each brand, you'd have everything.
So let's get into, we talked about some of the products, some of the tools that you use, and some of the basics. Let's talk costs. Like, and I think this is where everyone really wants to know, like, how profitable is detailing farming equipment versus vehicles?
So I'd say it's the same percentage, but what you're charging is exponential, right? Most guys, the ones that I know at least, I don't know of very many people charging more than 2 grand for a ceramic coating on a vehicle versus, we just did a Hagie STS 16 sprayer, and that was $12,000. But that was also, it took 3 days for that and one bottle of that. And this bottle's $1,000.
Okay, so your materials cost is way more. Plus, you have what, 3, 4 guys working on it?
Or, yep.
So 4 guys for 3 days, and was there travel involved with that?
Yes, but we always have the farmer, basically, we have a truck that's a diesel, and the
Okay.
farmer just fills up our fuel tank. So we never pay for
Okay.
fuel.
Okay. So that's where I can understand. You're saying your percentages are kind of similar to automobiles. It might sound super lucrative, and I'm not trying to dissuade anyone one way or another, but when you see guys like you and I were texting earlier today, and you were on a phone call with a farmer and you said discussing a $32,000 job, and I'm like, "Is it what?" You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But that was probably multiple machines, multiple days, multiple employees, and if you're $1,000 for a bottle of coating, I thought C6 Hydro at $2.99 was expensive. That's just it puts it in a whole new realm. So, I mean, how much profit then are you making, and how important is efficiency to getting that profit?
Yeah, so I mean, it all depends on what the job is, what he wants done. Obviously, we have more profitability on a brand new 8R than we do in older 7 series, because there's only so much we can charge for the equipment. Because, hang on, sorry, how many people are you typically bringing with? So just 3 guys. 2 guys do the boom part, 1 guy does the main frame, and then we split the wheels or the undercarriage side.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, how do I want to put it? It really depends on what the equipment is. We do try to charge accordingly based on the time, the amount of product it's going to be used. But like a combine, I mean, that's 2 days easily. And we charge $6,500 for that.
Okay.
For a brand new one, used, we start at 8,500 depending on condition. But in that same amount of time, we could do 4 8Rs instead at 3,500 bucks a piece. So it's like, you just got to pick and choose.
Someone wants to know John Deere S7 combine ceramic coating cost.
So that depends if it is
It
the,
depends.
nope, because I actually just had a farmer text me on Monday that the brand new S7 800s just became available for sale. I did not even know they were out yet.
Ooh.
And if they're brand new and if they're anything like a John Deere X9, which has by far the worst paint I have ever personally seen on a piece of farm equipment, you do 2 passes with cut and you're down to primer. There's no paint on these. Because they're such a new machine that I don't think they have their manufacturing process dialed in. So they're not putting on enough paint on the brand new stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to be super careful. But so for a brand new S7 combine, if it's the brand new stuff with the crap paint, 8,500. Used S780, depending upon where it came from. If it's a northern tractor, shedded, low hours, right around that 7,500-ish is probably what I'd be at. And that's for a full combine. If they only wanted a partial, which would be the 5 outside shields and the unload auger, you're talking about $5,000.
So there's a lot of that's a big gap there, $2,500 difference.
Yeah.
Is the sensitive paint going to make you polish it less and save the customer more, or does it increase the amount of attention and effort that the sucky paint drives the cost up?
The sad part is, I give an estimate for a tractor, or sorry, a quote, not an estimate. I give a quote for a tractor. We show up and we just keep going until it's done right, up to our standards. So even if we're just battling it and fighting it, can't really change anything because we can't just be like, hey, just so you know, we spent twice as long on this. It's an extra $1,000. It just, you got to take it with, what's the term? You got to take the highs with the lows or something like that. Versus, shoot, we've done a brand new 8R tractor in 5 hours. That was $3,500 in 5 hours.
Pretty good margins there. Do farmers ever give you a hard time about the cost? Steve wants to know.
I don't know. It's the farmers.
It depends.
It depends. So I'm not trying to target the farmers with 100 acres and a small tractor that they only have 10 cows. They'll never be able to afford me. And that's okay. I'm going after the big guys with over $4 million of equipment, over 4,000 acres, just the bigger guys. So those guys, some of them see value in it, and other guys, they just lease the equipment and they don't care what it looks like. They're just not interested in me coating it. I one time had a farmer buy a brand new combine, brand new. And he told me he spent over $600,000 on this combine. And he calls me, he's like, hey, how much is ceramic coat it? I'm like, oh, can you give me some information on it? We're just talking through it, what we're going to do. I go, yep. So for a brand new combine, that series and model is $7,500. He goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's that much. And I flat out ask. I go, well, how much did you think it was going to cost? And he goes, well, I don't know. I thought maybe $1,000 at most. And I'm just like, dude, the combines I wash for local dealerships, I charge $2,000 just to wash it. No polishers taken to it, nothing, just to wash the underside and the outside of a combine. I charge $2,000. And it's like, I don't know what realm he was on, but so yeah.
He's probably one of my customers. I'm just kidding. I get that from customers. I got 3 today because they're like, that's way too expensive. But someone asked, do farmers hit you with the, it's not that bad, like customers for cars do?
They do. And anytime I hear from that, it's an automatic requirement that I need a minimum 3 pictures, 1 video of the equipment, minimum, before I even give them a quote.
Someone wanted to know earlier, have you thought about the C6 industrial line?
So it's funny, Taylor texted me and was giving me crap about the thumbnail and stuff like that. We've been bickering with each other a little bit today, or badgering, that's the term. I have tried it. I like it for certain applications.
Okay.
I'll put that.
War is still your go-to.
For the foreseeable future, yes. The only thing that's nice is I was talking about the combines where it was 2 passes with cut and we started seeing primer. Those products, it can be the worst paint ever hammered. I wouldn't even touch it, in terms of polishing it. I could do 3 pieces of equipment over just that one bad one. What they're doing is they're actually getting their coating to bond onto it. And it's almost like a clear coat in a way.
Hmm.
So you're adding the shine in the coating step rather than the polishing step. So
Okay.
that's where I think it sees its place. I mean, the analogy I use is you go to a mechanic shop, they don't have just wrenches, right? They have a specific tool in their toolbox. That is a tool for me in my toolbox if I ever get just a beat up set of rims, for example. I mean, you can't really polish out rims that great versus this product. I could just spray it on there and walk away and be done. That would save me so much time and effort.
Now you're not doing like washes and waxes for farmers. You might for dealerships. You sounded like you do some dealership washing and stuff like that for tractors, but is it straight up just ceramic coatings that farmers are normally looking for?
Yeah, it's actually really funny. A lot of farmers think that the ceramic coating is a wax,
Mm.
and I one time did a brand new sprayer for this guy. I mean, just awesome, and charged him $8,500. And he goes, "Wow, this looks really good. I can't wait for you guys to come back out here next year and redo it." And we all looked at him and go, "Don't you know what you just got? Like, we're not coming back here."
How long do they last typically?
So it depends on what it's getting used for. So some tractors only pull a piece of tillage equipment, right? They just get dirt. Some of them pull manure wagons, actual hog, cattle manure. And then your sprayers, that's spraying your Roundup, your pesticides, insecticides, UAN 32, 28%, just nasty. I mean,
Yeah, way more worse than salt.
oh, it's pure salt and it can like corrode metal in a matter of minutes.
Okay.
So typically on sprayers, the worst of the worst chemical extreme, they'll probably see anywhere from 4 to 6 years, ballparkish. Just depends on what it is.
I mean, I don't want to spend $1,000 for a coating, but if that stuff can protect against those elements for 4 to 6 years, that's a legit coating.
So I'll tell you this much. I don't want to say I hate the detailing industry, but I feel like I'm going to be the first person to change it, or not change the industry, but change the coatings. So Roar has a 7-year warranted coating, right? Fully warranted, whatever, single layer, which is awesome.
Okay.
I think I'm going to sell it now as a 100,000 mile coating because our work truck, that coating has been on there for a year and a half and we've put on 50,000 miles and it's still on there. Versus, you see kind of my logic, like
Mm-hmm.
most people don't even put on 50,000 miles in an entire ownership. And I just did that in a year and it's still holding up. So I feel like that's almost a better way. I don't know. I'm still toying with the idea of advocating it like that instead.
I think for some customers that might translate, to longer term for the coating, but for those that commute, like where I live to Philly every day or things like that, that's not going to last them very long. 100,000 miles goes quick. I think I have 110,000 miles on my 2014 Subaru, and we bought it brand new. So in 10 years, I've done 100,000 miles. So I definitely don't drive near as much as you. Do you sleep in your truck? Like that sounds like you live in your truck.
No, we get Airbnbs. I mean, we'll sleep. So Minot, where we just came back from, is about an 8-hour drive one way. And I mean, my guys took some naps on the way up there and back.
So when you're doing this, is a lot of agricultural equipment, is there travel involved? Like are you in a heavy farming area? Like what would be the most populated farming areas for detailers if they wanted to break into this versus maybe the one farmer that 50 miles away?
Oh, I'd say anywhere. I feel like every single state, I mean, other than maybe Arizona and New Mexico, the only two. Okay, I'll give Alaska for 3. I'll give those 3 states. Probably not much farming going on there. But if you're willing to
Ice
try,
farming.
yeah, if you're willing to just drive, I mean, you could be in the center of Chicago, Illinois. Just go 50 miles south. I've been there. I've literally stayed in Chicago after I got done coating a tractor because it was the closest Airbnb around. So if you're willing to travel, I think there's opportunity anywhere.
So, how did you start marketing for this line of work? Like, how did you grow it to where it is now?
So that was back when Facebook ads really worked and you didn't need like a whole bunch of knowledge. It was kind of,
Hmm.
you could just give Facebook $20 and say, hey, go market for me. And it worked out great back in this probably been 2019, 2020. No, it was actually after COVID. This would have been 21, 22. Yep, that's
Okay.
right. 21, 22. And so, but now, it's best just to hire a marketing team. I have hired and fired 4 of them, but now I got the right one. I feel very confident about this one now. Because everybody else was just kind of throwing crap at the wall and seeing if it sticks.
Hmm.
Versus now it's like it feels like real marketing.
What do you what do you think was the shift, or what made it profitable for you?
The marketing side or the
Yeah, the marketing side. Like, what is this company doing different versus the ones you fired?
well, I think the ones that I fired, they were just kind of putting ads up there and just hoping like somebody bites versus this one is like specifically targeting farmers with certain requisites, minimum farms, 2,000 acres, minimum likes, John Deere tractors that are 2010 and newer or has bought them, specific avatars, within the meta universe, if you want to call it that.
Okay. So, what would be the first steps that you would recommend someone take if they're serious about moving in this direction? Does their insurance need to look differently? Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah. You need at least $1 million policy for insurance minimum.
Now, I have like garage keepers and I have limited liability. Do you need something different to work on farming equipment versus, beyond that?
So it's great that you asked that. That's my insurance.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's a,
You made me think about that. Yeah.
did you even read it?
No, I just signed. No, I
It's
was not
like
gonna.
Obamacare. It's just pass the bill. It's
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there.
What if it doesn't do anything? Anyway. Anyway.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
so anyway, if somebody wants to get serious about this, find some sort of training, right? And if you're already using IGO coatings, take IGO's coding class for industrial. They do it all the time. If you're with Fine Lab, take Fine Lab's coding. If you're just with, I mean, I'm going to throw somebody under the bus, but I think they still like me. But if you're like with G Technic, they don't have an industrial coding. So, your options are open. Take whoever you want, whether it's Roar, I think C6 is still doing some trainings, but, feel free to navigate and search around. Why not?
Okay. Well, I know that you have family responsibilities later on, and I don't want this to be like an hour-long podcast. So,
No, we're good. Keep it
for
rolling.
those of you that do have questions for Spencer, make sure you guys are hitting them. I want to go back. We had a couple. Keith wanted to know, have you coded show tractors?
Have I coded show?
Is that even a thing?
I was about to say, I can't really think of what that would be, but I have coded like museum quality ones where like grandpa bought the tractor brand new in the early 50s. They parked it in the shed and they just restored it. I've coded that. Yeah.
Okay. And then Steve wants to know, why use a DA on newer equipment versus DA on older equipment?
So the DA on newer equipment, it's like a 1.5 step because then we can just go ahead one pass, or sorry, not one pass, but one step over it versus that rotary might not have enough bite because a DA actually cuts more than a rotary. I mean, I'll prove that anybody any day. So with the rotary, it just doesn't have that bite, just that little bit extra that I want out of a one step.
Okay. So I just say it one more time. Which one cuts better?
DA.
Okay. Ivan's probably like, "Atta boy."
Well,
Steve also wants to know.
Well, I
Go
thought
ahead.
Ivan was like full of shit. And then I did it one day and I'm like, oh my God, he's right.
Did you see that video that he made with the guys from Rag Company years ago? That's the one that kind of turned me on in with because he was talking. He did a three-sided, three side by side comparison of dual action, rotary, and
Force
there
rotation.
was what's that?
Force rotation.
Yes, to see which one got hottest the fastest and which one cut the fastest. And I want to believe that the DA actually got hotter faster
Oh yeah.
um, than the rotary even because everyone always was saying rotary would burn the paint. And so he kind of disproved that. And then I did a video recently where I kind of compared rotary versus DA versus rotary, which one is better at finishing down. And it wasn't meant to be like super exhaustive. And I had a lot of people on my channel that were like, you should try rotary and then rotary. And I'm like, I don't know anybody I mean, I don't do all of it by rotary. Which do you prefer to finish down with, DA or rotary?
Rotary all day, every day.
What are you using to finish down? Like what pad, what polish?
Oh, gold standard and gold, whatever the yellow pad is.
Gold waffle pad.
Yeah. Even though
Okay.
it's
Because I
yellow.
do think it's pad dependent. You're not just gonna
That is
grab
true.
whatever, wool pad with a rotary and be like, it's gonna finish down better. I think it's gonna be pad and polish dependent.
And I feel
Um,
like it's paint dependent too a little bit.
mhm.
Because I did do a GMC Sierra and I did try finishing it with a rotary and I could see my holograms a little bit. And I literally left the polish on the rest of the tailgate where I noticed it and just hit it with a DA and it went away. I'm like, well, that sucks. But I talked to Ivan and he says that's like due to a dirty pad or something like that or improper user error, right? My fault.
I just think GM paint sucks in general. It doesn't matter what you try. The only winning combo I've ever found on black GM is a white optimum pad or white foam polishing pad and optimum hyper polish. It's the only one that doesn't have a marring or like that little tick left behind in the
Yeah.
paint. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who have different scenarios. Steve wants to know, and I think you did answer this, does the client pay for the travel on top of the equipment estimates?
It's all factored into it. So
Okay.
if they're doing 3 or more pieces of equipment, I mean, minimum for 3 pieces of equipment, you're talking 10 grand. So I take 10% off. If they're doing 5 pieces of equipment, then it's 15% off. And, it just keeps on scaling up from there. But I always try to factor travel in there some way, shape, or form. Whether, like, if it's one tractor, I usually tack on an extra $100 for travel, is what I figure in my head. But if they do 10 pieces, then it's like, okay, well, now I only need to spread it out, maybe $20 a tractor, but it's in there one way, shape, or form.
OS Mobile Detailing wants to know, what was your very first tractor?
That would have been a John Deere. Is it 8770? No, that can't be right. There's a silage cutter. I have a photo of it on my phone. I could find out like right now. I have to go all the way back to 2016, but I bet you I could find it. Okay. How do I have a photo from 2011? That's weird.
Let's see. Maybe you can listen and answer a question while you're searching for it. Someone wants to know, do you use a spray coating for the more intricate areas on implements such as planters?
I haven't done a planter, but I've done a soil warrior and the main beams, which are that big, just solid steel through, and then everything comes off that drawbar. I'll hand apply the flat pieces, but where it gets intricate, yes, I will spray.
Okay. Do you have is it the roar coating that you're using in a spray gun or is it a different coating?
Nope, the roar coating in a spray gun, Iowata spray gun. Okay, so hang on, I think I found it now. So it should be a John Deere 7750 silage cutter. Yep, that's it right there. Yeah, I remember I spent 4 days after high school going out to the farm and waxing that sucker.
Can you hold it up?
Hang on.
It might be a little blurry.
It's going to be pretty blurry. Oh my God, my thumb now just swiped right past it. Oh my gosh. There we go. Up. it's you're not really going to see much of it because that was after we used it, but it's that.
We get the essence of it. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
I can see why that took you 4 days.
Yeah.
Jeez. Is that the after or was that the before?
No, that was the before.
Okay. I was going to
And
say it looked a little dull there, Spencer.
oh yeah, I didn't do anything. Yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm just teasing you.
And actually, so this was the first. Oh, I got some good ones here. This was the first one I ever polished. I didn't wax it. I polished it. What the heck was I using? No, that's a lie. I put a sealant on it. It was Chemical Guy's Jet Seal because that was like the king of the crop back in 2018 when I did it. You know,
It probably
nobody.
lasted like 4 days.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I had that sucker glowing, and then the plastics just looked like crap.
You're like a proud papa. You're
Yeah.
like, look, this is everything.
Well, the sad part is, so I got started in 2017 when I got a really nice car, and I went down to my buddy's place, and he had a big DeWalt rotary plug-in polisher and this huge pad that was probably never ever cleaned out since the day I bought it. And my dad, he went to this car show and he got this wax, and that was the first thing I ever waxed was the hood of my car with this bottle.
What is that even?
So it says it's Slick Premium Products Cleaner Wax and Polish, non-abrasive, but it smells like coconuts. It's amazing,
Sounds like McGuire's cleaner wax,
right?
but not quite as strong.
Yeah,
That stuff actually does do decent correction, but
this literally, this bottle is what got me to get the itch.
so that has a special place on your desk.
Yeah, well, I need to frame it. I got to find a shadow box to put it in.
Amazon.
I have not looked at Amazon. Yeah.
Steve wants to know, do farmers like tire dressings? That's actually a pretty, I'm going to assume no, but maybe there's that oddball.
There are some of them that I do like it, but the bad part is they put the tire dressing. I have seen it before.
Don't tell me they put it on the tread.
No. They put it on the plastic fuel tanks, the paint, the hood, everything, because it makes it shiny. Right?
Well, yeah, it's like Pledge.
Yeah, exactly. They put it on everything.
And that stuff is not the easiest to get off, too.
No, it is not.
That's funny. I know when we have parades down here and the farmers will bring their tractors and pulleys and things like that, and they will shine them up, and I've seen a couple that actually spray it on the treads. And I'm like, I don't understand that at all, but it brings them joy, so have at it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I saw on your, is it YouTube channel, and you have a Facebook channel as well, correct?
Oh yeah.
Because I actually, when I first saw your YouTube, I confused you with Mad Garage. And I was like, Mad Garage? I was like, that guy does amazing work, or Mad Detailing. See, that's why I confused it.
I have so many calls from people thinking.
Yeah, I just confused it because I'm like, meh.
But I get so many people like, where's my order? And I'm like, this is the wrong person. It's, in all fairness though, I had my LLC before him. I've talked to him. I was there before him.
Well, anyways, when I saw your YouTube channel, Mad Garage.
Garage.
I got it right. Okay. One thing that I thought was really cool that you're doing is ceramic tint for the tractors. Like, tell me about that, because I feel like anyone can really get into that. I mean, do you need specific training for that? Is that a difficult task to do? They're just big old flat pieces of plastic.
Oh no, they're not flat.
No.
Gosh, I wish we were recording this on my phone. I literally have 2 doors off a sprayer in my shop right now that I'm tinting. Like literally before we got on here, I was tinting them. But so the ceramic tint stuff, a lot of these older tractors now, probably pushing on about 10 years or so, their AC compressors can't keep up anymore. And so we're tinting it to just reject the heat. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you want to talk about a lucrative business, I mean, window tinters make a good living. I charge $1,000 per piece of glass I touch.
Is it more profitable for you than coatings?
I don't know, because like
it depends.
It does depend. That's the crappy part. It does depend. Like, so this sprayer, so I'm charging him 3 grand. I have an hour in the windshield, and I probably have 3 hours in the sides. So what is that? Like 800 bucks an hour, 750, something like that.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
That's amazing, actually.
yeah. But I'm not always doing brand new stuff. That's the
Mhm.
issue. Is that the guys who want it the most, they have the older stuff, which is a little bit more difficult. They're not the
I
fun.
I would imagine that within the farming world, there's less availability of tractors versus vehicles. You know, they're keeping their tractors for 10, 20, 30. Who knows how, I mean, they're like, I'm passing it on to my grandkids.
No,
You
not at
know,
all. I mean, most guys, the average ownership is about 4 years.
really.
Yeah,
Then I don't know those farmers because I mean, our friends have a sheep farm and they've got a tractor that like her dad drove and they just keep patching it and fixing it. It kind of looks like what's the truck from Cars, you know?
Mater.
Yeah, kind of looks like Mater.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll get some farmers like that, but the ones that are interested in getting the coding done, they're the ones, constantly upgrading, keeping up with technology. Cause that's the main reason why these farmers buy the new ones. It's just the technology of it. I mean, Deere just 2 weeks ago announced their fully autonomous tractor, which I think is going to put me out of business because I think the emotional tie that a farmer has sitting in the cab and seeing that
Mhm.
hood gleam and blind them when it's 6 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the evening and that sun is setting. They're not in the cab anymore.
They don't care what it looks like.
I don't think they're going to care what it looks like.
Oh, that's where your marketing approach is just going to have to shift.
Yeah, I mean,
When you're staring at your tractor from across the field.
yeah. Well, it's actually funny that you say that because literally winter is our busiest time. We take time off in the summer, and then the springtime we do boats, and then the fall time we do semis. So, because any farmer that has a tractor, they usually have a boat that we do, and then we do their semis. I mean, it's just a step evolution almost.
Okay. So, what would be your words of wisdom then? Like the final, like if someone were to come up to you and say, I want to get into this, what would be like the encompassing words of wisdom that you would say to them?
It's gonna take time, but eventually you will get comfortable saying the words, it's going to cost you $4,000. Because when I first started, I mean, I was like shaking. The very first piece of equipment I ever ceramic coated, other than my dad's tractor to use for marketing, was a used sprayer, and I quoted him at 8,500 bucks, and I was scared. And he goes, "Okay, when can you be here?" And I'm like, what did I do? Like, it caught me by surprise. And it probably took me all of about 2 months to get comfortable just spitting out numbers, just, hey, this is what it costs. If you like it, great. If not, it's okay.
Which would you rather detail, a tractor or a car?
Now, detail or ceramic coat? Actually,
So, let's say coat,
can
because
I throw,
go ahead.
can I throw a curveball at it?
Sure.
I'd much rather hire an employee and then not do it, or another employee. No, I would. I like coating tractors. They're pretty fun. I mean, a $500,000 tractor, and I'm literally climbing around the hood and standing on the tires and stuff like that.
I think he gets you.
Yeah, you can't take a $500,000 car. I don't even know what would be 500,000, like a
Jeez, no.
Aston Martin or something. You
Yeah.
don't stand on the hood or walk around it and stuff. Or on tractors, the only way to do the roof is by sitting on it. Well, you can't sit on the roof of a you know Jaguar or something like that. So it's pretty fun being able to like, oh yeah,
See,
cool.
for me, like when I work on high-end cars, and I don't get many, and I'm okay with that. I get nervous working on high-end cars. I can do them, but I just feel more weight, more responsibility because like I have insurance. I'm not concerned about that, but it just feels like those customers, like I'm like, I don't want them to be angry at me. They're $700,000 piece of equipment. Hang on. Can you see me?
Yeah, we're good
My
now.
my Wi-Fi keeps going in and out. I don't know why. You'd think we have bad storms. We don't. It's just really windy. Um, But you would think the farmers, are they like super anal about you sitting on their tractors, or they're just like, here's a beer while you're working on the tractor? Like,
Yeah, no, literally, we've actually partnered with some farmers and played poker with them until 3 in the morning.
so for that fact, I think I would rather work on tractors than cars just because it's more laid back, even though it's not really. I mean, if you need insurance this thick to work on them and they're that expensive, that would probably, I think I would need to work on my nerves like you kind of initially, not even so much on the pricing, but just touching a piece of equipment that expensive.
And I'll show you this photo because this is a really good one, like a representation of just how big they are. I'll probably try to get that.
That is a behemoth.
Yeah, and I'm 6 foot, so and I can't even see the top of the hood.
I couldn't even afford a tire on that thing.
Yeah, the tires are about $5,000 a piece.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I could not afford a tire. I've been struggling with buying a compressor, let alone a tire. So you have to know last week's episode. It's fine. And for those of you that are asking, yes, I did get a compressor. It is on its way. So
What'd you
I'll be
get?
unveiling. It's gonna be an unveiling. It's gonna
Ooh,
be a thing because everyone threw me suggestions. A lot of the ones that I wanted were out of stock, but I felt like I landed on a good one. So we'll do a video. We'll review it, share with everyone my thoughts on it. So stay tuned. Oh, well, do you guys have any more questions for Spencer before we wrap this episode up? I don't feel like I wanted to go down the deep hole of everything that is detailing. I wanted to specifically talk about like farming equipment. If someone wanted to get a break in that industry, like what are some of the basics and tools that they would need? And Spencer, thank you for sharing your brain and your experience. And if you guys have any questions left for Spencer, let us know. But Spencer, if people wanted to find you on social media, where would they go?
so if you look up Mad Garage on YouTube and
Mad
Facebook,
Garage, not Mad Detailing.
correct, Mad Garage. Yep. And the reason why I even got that name was because when I formed this business, like, well, you know, Matt Mormon, Obsessed Garage.
Mm-hmm.
I was like such a fanboy of him at the time. And like, I still like his work and stuff and everything, but I was just like, that's what I'm going to do. And then the MAD stands for Mason Auto Detailing or Mitchell Auto Detailing, in case I ever wanted to sell. It's just an acronym. And then I was like, it sticks. But anyway, so Mad Garage on Facebook, YouTube. I have a few videos on TikTok, but it's not many. Other than that, oh, is this the Tractor Spencer or the other? This is Tractor Spencer.
Is that an inside joke thing? I don't understand that.
I think that comes from the rag company. There's two Spencers, and the one
Okay.
like him and I always like back and forth will ask questions. And Anthony and Dane, they're like, "Oh yeah, Tractor Spencer. Oh yeah, regular Spencer." You know, always back and forth.
Well, you're officially Tractor Spencer to me too now.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Oh, well, Spencer, thank you so much for coming on. I know that this was a little bit of a shorter episode, but hopefully your wife or fiance won't get mad at you for me stealing you away from your family time tonight. But thank you for sharing your experience with us. Next week, I'm excited. We're going to be having Nick McGurk on from DIY Detail, the other half of DIY Detail. So for those of you that have questions for Nick, I'm sure Ivan will be watching it behind the curtain. But yeah, I'm excited to get to talk with him and hang out with him. So make sure you guys tune in next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at the House of Rags YouTube channel. But thank you again, Spencer. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we will see you next week. Have a great night.
See ya.